Good evening. Today is July the 23rd, 2024. My name is LK and I will continue the story of He Kissed the Ground. We're doing chapter 2, Reflections of Good Times. It consists of the River Thames and Mother and Child, Bond and Buckingham Palace Gardens. So prior to talking about the story, as I mentioned in the past, that I include poems, pictures, songs or music, or blogs. So I'm going to read a blog about Earth evolution. Earth evolution. Prokaryotes insurgent on eukaryotes. The evolution from single-cell organism to multi-cell organism. The era on evolution of the genome paradigm due to environmental and geological factors is here to stay. LK 2020 November the 17th. Also, I'd like to recite another poem. It's called The Dawn of Life. Conservation of Flora and Fauna. Springing forth from eukaryotes of flora and fauna billions of years ago, survived mass extinctions by adaptations and reconfigurations, unfolding in different designs. Respect for its existence as biodiversity of species, symbiotic to ecosystems. Conservation of flora and fauna in the Arctic and Antarctica is essential for the evolution of Earth. And photosynthesis formula is 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O equals to 6 C6 H12O6 plus 6O2 photosynthesis. The reason why I cite photosynthesis is because we'll be talking about the Queen's Garden and talks about the plants, the flora and fauna in that garden. So the story goes on the reflection of good times, the river Thames. The River Thames. On one beautiful sunny spring morning, August and his mother took a special boat ride on the River Thames. August was delighted to be with his beloved mummy on this special Thames boat ride treat. It was fun to watch and listen to the currents in the waters and its inhabitants. Swans, ducks, fishes in the waters, willow trees, seagrass, birds, and frogs along the banks. As the Thames vessel sailed, meandering from west to east, starting from at the gentle sloped Cotswold Hills at Gloucestershire. Pardon me, this is British, so it's a word that I'm not familiar with, so it's like Toronto instead of Toronto. So this privileged ride captured the pictures, village and towns of Oxford, Windsor, Reading, prior to entering the city of London with sights of granite, Tower Bridges, St. Paul's Cathedral to the House of Parliaments. Although the River Thames is approximately 146 kilometers long, it is relatively small compared with other major rivers in the world like Amazon, Nile, Huanghe, and others. To August, this Thames boat ride experience was timeless and precious. His mother listened and whistled joyfully as August sang with joy and action. Row, row your boat down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is just a dream. As this Thames boat ride finished at the mouth of the well-known North Sea, a boundary between England and France and the Norway, August exclaimed, "Yahoo!" and kissed his mother on the cheeks, implying thanks a million for such a wonderful time. There's a sketch of the River Thames in England. The configuration is that it was mapped a long time ago. Obviously, there's some tributaries that have been sealed, or new tributaries that have been created during the period when this sketch was done. So the second part of it is called the Buckingham Palace Gardens. One summer day, Mother and August walked to the Buckingham Palace Gardens, an area of 42 acres, about 17 hectares. The aesthetic and pristine natural landscape as existed as Stone Age. The common rock granite, a combination of squash, feldspar, and biotite materials were present. These major groups of rock were igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary bedrocks. In addition, the natural peak waterfalls or runoffs and an influx of organic and inorganic floras and faunas, including microbes, created an ambient atmosphere. The Queen's exotic and striking garden displayed an abundance of ancient and modern species of flora, such as trees, shrubs, flowers, and others. Ancient flora species were lichen, moss, ferns, horsetails, water lilies, and others. The majority of trees were deciduous, and some coniferous trees, including the mix of hawthorn, willow, magnolia, pine, poplar, oak, aspen, birch, cherry, plum, apple, strawberry tree or arbutus, and others. The infamous English garden had a variety of pretty, colorful, dainty, and pleasant scented wild, old, and hybrid flowers of roses and daisies, lavenders, heathers, water lilies, and many others covered the bedrocks, ponds, and grounds. The swarm of bustling bees, speedy perching dragonflies, fluttering butterflies, creeping ladybugs, and hopping grasshoppers were visible everywhere, busily pollinating or resting in different landmarks. The Queen's aromatic and aesthetic garden attracted vibrant insects to crisscross flowers, bushes, trees, rocks, and ponds for pollinating to maintain a sustainable ecosystem. The cohabitation of ancient and modern flora species, harmonizing with the flora species and other organisms, including microbes in its biodiversity settings, were almost flawless to effect a holistic, sustainable, and efficient environment. It was inevitable that any visitors, including children, were enriched and engrossed by the stunning and serene natural atmosphere. The Queen's Garden was naturally picturesque for all people to enjoy and relax. The picture of rounding and rolling hills, of the meadows in higher elevations in the countryside, and the famous prehistoric monument of Stonehenge in Stone Age Paleolithic period completed the spectacular and breathtaking landscape of England's lithosphere and biosphere. This is the gist of this chapter, and then we continue on the next section. But before I continue the next section, I'd like to discuss about the Queen's Garden and the time when the child spent with the mother along the River Thames. As I mentioned, there will be pictures, and pictures do speak 1,000 words. And you can see from the pictures that the child is engrossed in such wonderful relationship with the mother, and we'll be talking about the continuum concept of raising children in a more positive environment by going back to historic time on how offsprings are reared in the environment to be strong, to have a sense of direction, and to have positive self-esteem, and to have a good sense of defense, because it's built up in the environment, and because they feel protected as a child, as a baby, and when they are of age, they're able to take care of themselves like the animals around them in the ecosystem. So I will discuss that, and this section will be about mother and child. So the story continues from here. August picked a fern and flipped it in order to examine the spores with his small magnifying glass. His mommy explained, "Ferns do not produce seeds or flowers. Ferns reproduce by spores. Ferns evolved about 300 million years ago during the coniferous period, the great age of plants." "Oh," exclaimed August. "Dinosaurs and other organisms coexisted with other ancient plants like monkey trees, ferns, moss, horsetails, and water lilies. Plants were food for herbivore or plant-eating dinosaurs. Due to drastic climate and geological changes, dinosaurs or reptiles or other organisms were greatly impacted and became extinct. But the ancient floras and faunas, organisms including microbes, continue to exist as archetypes of its or prototypes of its species." August was intensely fascinated with the story of the extinct dinosaurs and its environments. Mommy expanded further, saying, "Today, ferns thrive in shady forests, some in deserts and in almost any climate areas. Ferns grow in tropical, temperate, and taiga zones except sub-Antarctica. There are many types of ferns, including sword ferns, tree ferns, fiddleheads, and others. Ferns, like fiddleheads, are edible. Ferns are essential in the ecosystem as this resilient plant provides nutrients to the soil." "I don't like the bitter taste of fiddleheads," yawned August. Photosynthesis, plants, and organisms. To capture August's attention further, Mommy used gestures and action by pointing to the sun, inhaling and exhaling, and touching the soil. Mommy concluded her dialogue. "Ferns, like algae and organisms in the ocean, make food from the sunlight, air, and water mixed with minerals. Ferns, like most plants, absorbs the bad air, carbon dioxide, CO2, in the atmosphere and release good air, oxygen, O2 so species like humans and animals and fishes can live. This process is called photosynthesis. In Greek, photo means light and synthesis putting together. The root of life is synonymous to photosynthesis. Each earth constitutes, creates, and conserves life. Obviously, the mother was explaining to August in a much more simpler terms because he's just a boy. But I have written it in more technical aspect or more explanation in science in order to let the audience or the readers or the viewers understand that this is what the mother intended August to understand. And eventually, of course, when he grew older, he understood the concept of photosynthesis and appreciate the moments that his mother had given him the first lesson about photosynthesis in a very simplified way. So it's about the web of life. August followed his mother's exercises. He took a deep breath and exhaled towards the ferns. He repeatedly inhaled and exhaled several times towards a spider on a leaf, singing along. Itsy witsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun, and so on. Carefully, August touched the leaf, saying, "Cool," but his curiosity was a spider cleaning on its new designed web. Both August and Mummy nodded that ferns and the spider and its web were indeed vital in this ecosystem. In appreciation, August picked some ferns and gave his mother for keepsake. His mother grinned and affectionately said, "We can frame the ferns later." The sun was beaming. August and Mummy sat under a shady hawthorn tree for a picnic. They ate peanut butter and roast hips, jam sandwiches, red apples, and Scottish butter biscuits, and drank lemonade. Apparently, both mother and child had gathered the wild roast hips from the woods last week. The lunch was delicious, as August hungrily ate all his lunch. The squirrel and sparrow ate from the crumbs on his hands. Love and passion. The love and passion of nature was as sweet as mother and child relationship. August loved the attention and precious time with his mummy as she shared her passion for nature in a loving way. As a young boy, August was innately exploring, observing, and discovering nature. August was learning by osmosis in his environment. At that special moment, mother and child felt a strong bond. They loved and enjoyed spending time together. Mother and child sang and played games from a series of nursery rhymes like Ladybug, Ladybug, Lavender Blue, Row, Row, Row Boat, Itsy Wincy Spider, Oranges and Lemons, and many, many others. August had a fantastic time. Mommy gave August a kiss and said, "I love you infinitely." August whispered to his mother's ear, saying, "I love you infinitely, Mommy." August yawned and took a nap on his mother's lap. With love and adoration, his mother hummed quietly, "Rock-a-bye baby on my lap." At the same time, his mother stroked his soft, fine hair and proudly admired and thankful for her child's good endowed features and good character. So we finished this part, and as I mentioned, I'd like to talk a little bit about because of the mother and child bond, and I have had discussed in my Instagram or other blog about hormones, the bonding between mother and child, oxytocin and cortisol and others. So, but this time I just want to touch on something that touched my heart today, is that first of all, each species on Earth evolves endowed with its role and time to be prototypes for times on Earth evolution revolving space and time. So when the mother talk about evolution, or whether it's the ferns, that it has evolved for a period of time, but ferns has continued to evolve for a long period of time. So it's a surviving plant that need to be appreciated and readdressed on how evolution is sometimes maybe favor certain species, like the ferns that can survive for such a long time, whilst the dinosaurs were extinct, and out of it came prototypes of dinosaur. It could be pangolin and others fauna and birds as well. So I just want to touch on something that I think, as I mentioned, is the continuum concept, because the way the mother brought up August, he has is something to do with the continuum concept, and because of that, this child grew up to be very special, has a call in life, serve the community, serve the country, and serve the world. So of course we would like to see every citizen become a citizen of the world, and I just want to talk about the understanding the continuum concept. So this is a script or excerpt from Google, or it's called Continuum Concept org. So I'm going to read briefly, because this topic is not about totally continuum concept. So I will summarize, but it is based on Jean Letloff, and according to her, the idea that in order to achieve optimal physical, mental, and emotional development, human beings, especially babies, require the kind of experience to which our species adapted during the long process of our evolution. For countless millennia, the following experiences were virtually universal for primitive babies and children. That includes natural birth, breastfeeding, co-sleeping, in arms phrase, responsible care, great expectations, positive expectations. So this part is interesting, because it say that children sensed their elders' positive expectation, which were based on the belief that children are innately social and cooperative. And also parents expected their children's self-preservation instinct to keep them safe, which allowed the children to develop appropriate levels of caution and high levels of confidence without the interference of parental anxiety and overprotection. And last not least is the unconditional love. Children felt welcome and worthy in the eyes of their parents and caregivers. Having faith in children's innate sociality, the elders were never tempted to withhold their love and respect as leverage to enforce good behavior. So genetically, a baby born today is virtually identical to the ancient ancestral cousins, innately possessing what Lithoff called continuum expectations for experiences that like those described above. But due to modern Western childbirth and childcare practices, our children's continuum expectations are inadequately met, if not entirely unmet. So this is true. As you can tell, mothers are much more busy. So when you look at this, my concern is that if you want to sustain the human race, or you want to sustain the Stone Age leverage of survival, we need to go back to history or to the ancient practices, and even test a group of women or parents with that continuum concept versus a non-continuum concept. And if it's true, if statistically the continuum concept is much better for the upbringing and positive outcome for the offsprings, our social practices should go for the first one. And so that's because we want good positive offsprings, and we want our gene to grow positive as well. And so that's my endorsement too. And so I will recite the poem again, The Dawn of Life. Conservation of flora and fauna, springing forth from eukaryotes of flora and fauna billions of years ago, survived mass extinctions by adaptation and reconfigurations, unfolding in different designs. Respect for its existence as biodiversity of species, symbiotic to the ecosystems. Conservation of flora and fauna in the Arctic and Antarctica is essential for the evolution of Earth. This is the dawn of life. Thank you. And we shall talk next.